Many of your relatives lost their life when the atomic bomb razed Hiroshima to the ground. You have grown up with the stories of the survivors, and you wanted us to listen to the same stories, to face the past and learn something about the future. It was a sobering start to the G7 and one that I will not forget, especially at a time when Russia threatens to use nuclear weapons once again. It is heinous, it is dangerous, and in the shadow of Hiroshima, it is unforgivable.
This is my video update from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Friday, midday, September the 22nd. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with Boris Johnson claiming during an interview he gave that Britain won World War II with the help of Ukraine. Interesting statement from Boris the Clown. And then we had Ursula von der Crazy speaking at the Atlantic Council Awards ceremony. That must be an interesting event to attend. I wonder how much a ticket goes for so that you can attend the Atlantic Council Awards ceremony. Anyway, she was speaking at this event, and she started to talk about how the atomic bomb razed Hiroshima to the ground, and then Ursula said that Russia threatens to use nuclear weapons once again, implying that it was Russia that used an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, not the United States. Russia. That was what Ursula was implying. There are some people on Twitter that claim that Ursula's statement has been misrepresented because English is not her first language. And what Ursula meant to say was that the world faces a nuclear threat again because of Russia's actions in Ukraine. But I listened to her speech multiple times. I invite you to listen to her speech carefully. And the only conclusion that I can draw from listening to Ursula's speech was that her script writers absolutely meant to imply that it was Russia that used an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. That was the implication in her statement, in her speech. I don't think this was a mistake. I don't think this is a case of English not being your first language. I feel that that Boris Johnson and Ursula talking about World War II and rewriting history in a way is not a coincidence. I think something deliberate is going on here. Anyway, Maria Zakharova, the spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, she said this about Ursula's statement at the Atlantic Council Awards ceremony, and I quote, "Not a word about the United States and the Washington executioners who dropped bombs on Japanese cities and civilians, but the defendant in the largest corruption scandals in the history of the EU went further. She blamed the tragedy of Hiroshima on Russia." Zakharova summed up the way Ursula von der Leyen lies is disgusting and dangerous. That is a statement from Maria Zakharova. So Boris Johnson talks about World War II and says that Britain won World War II with the help of Ukraine. Ursula von der Pirate, she says that we face a threat of nuclear war by Russia again. Russia is threatening nuclear war again, implying that Russia has used nuclear weapons in the past, talking about Hiroshima during her speech. Something is going on. Something deliberate is going on. The globalist elite, the globalist class, they're very upset, very bitter at the fact that they are losing the conflict with Russia, and they're losing it in a big, big way. I think they're lashing out. And one of the ways that they're lashing out is by trying to rewrite history. And they understand that this is a very sensitive topic for Russia, for the Russian government, for the Russian people, for Putin and Putin's administration. They know that World War II is a very sensitive topic, and that's why they're coming out with these statements. They're kind of taking jabs, taking pokes at the Russian people by coming out with statements like this. Anyway, those are my thoughts. But let me know what you think. Why all of a sudden is Boris and Ursula, and I imagine some other people will start coming out with a different interpretation of Russia and the Soviet Union's role in World War II. I can see some more statements coming out of collective West leaders in the near future. Why do you think all of a sudden they're coming out with these statements? Anyway, sticking with Clown World, because I guess the opening segments of today's video are very Clown World heavy. We had Elensky speaking to the United Nations, and Ukraine media, they decided to amend, to edit Elensky's speech to the UN. When Elensky was speaking to the UN, the assembly was, I'll be generous and say 1/3 full. And I'm being generous. It was pretty empty. Not Olaf Scholz empty, not Pirate Schultz empty, where Pirate Schultz was speaking to the UN and there was maybe 1 or 2 people there, and I'm not exaggerating. Elensky's speech at the UN was 1/3 full. Let's just leave it there. And the Ukraine media, they decided to do some clever editing and make it look like the auditorium was full. It was sold out as Elensky was addressing the United Nations. But they made an error as they edited this footage, because as Zelensky is speaking to the United Nations and they're showing us a packed assembly at the 14-second mark of the video that you're seeing, Elensky is sitting in the audience. In other words, Elensky is speaking to Elensky in the audience. So yeah, they messed up on the editing. They really messed up on the editing. Ukraine media. Propaganda, it's all theater. It is all theater. It is all one big show. When it comes down to the information that's coming out of Ukraine, it is just theater. Or maybe it isn't theater. Maybe this isn't propaganda. Maybe this isn't a show. Maybe Ukraine has liberated Rabotinya 26 times. Maybe they have liberated Andrevka 8 times. Maybe. That's what they tell us. We've liberated Rabotinya again. We've liberated Rabotinya again. We've liberated Andrevka again. We've liberated Andrevka again. I mean, maybe they just keep on liberating these these cities over and over again. Maybe, just maybe, Elensky's a magician. maybe there's 2 Elenskys. Maybe there's an Elensky clone. Maybe this was Elensky's body double. Could be, and they forgot to tell the body double to stay in the car. And maybe the body double was like, hey, I wanna go into the United Nations and listen to what Elensky has to say. Maybe the speech was from the body double, and that was the real Elensky in the audience. I don't know. Maybe Elensky has a superpower like Superman or the Flash, And as he was speaking, he quickly, at the speed of light, he quickly sat down in the audience, and then he quickly went back to deliver the rest of his speech. I don't know. maybe these things are what's going on to explain how you have one Elensky giving a speech and another Elensky sitting in attendance. Anyway, there were some good comments and memes over the past couple of days, not only from the United Nations but also from Elensky's tour of Congress, tour of the Senate, meeting with Schumer and McConnell. And Elensky, yeah, he dressed up for the occasion. He is meeting with the Senate's top leaders in McConnell and Schumer, and Elensky, he got dressed up. He wore his best green camouflage pajamas. He wore his green dress shirt. At least he didn't go meet with McConnell and Schumer in the green sweatshirt or the green T-shirt. He decided to put on his best green dress shirt and his khaki green camouflage, whatever color those pants are. I don't know. Khakis, camouflage green, whatever. That was Elensky meeting with Schumer and McConnell, and and this picture is great. This comment from this photo is great. A picture is worth $1 billion. Well, Elensky may not get that 24 billion. We'll see. I think he'll get something. But McCarthy has come out with a statement saying that he is not approving. He's not going to support 24 billion to Elensky. So I think he'll get something. Will it be the full 24? I don't think so. Will it be something? Yeah, it'll be maybe something in the middle. And that'll be Elensky's last handout. It's going to be his last handout. He'll still get trickles of military aid. No ATACMS. He's not getting ATACMS this time around. Abrams tanks. They say Abrams tanks will be arriving on the front lines in 2-3 weeks. Those Abrams tanks will burn like the Leopards and the Challengers. But my feeling is that the Abrams will arrive in Ukraine, but the Pentagon will order the Ukraine military not to move those Abrams tanks to the front lines. They're going to tell the Ukraine military to have those Abrams next to the Challengers in the back, far away from Russian artillery. These butterflies, they move fast, huh? Yeah, so he'll get something. He'll get something in money, but it won't be the 24 billion. McConnell said in a tweet, "I was proud to welcome President Elensky to the Capitol this morning and hear firsthand about the status of Ukraine's counteroffensive. American support for Ukraine is not charity. It's in our own direct interests, not least because degrading Russia helps deter China." And then McConnell froze. He froze for 5 minutes. Just kidding. He didn't freeze this time around, at least not that we know of. But yeah, McConnell was briefed on the status of Ukraine's counteroffensive. And the status of Ukraine's counteroffensive is that it is one big failure. That's the status of Ukraine's counteroffensive. And then he goes on to say in this tweet that American support for Ukraine is not charity. McConnell knows what the American people think at this point in time, and the majority of Americans are fed up with giving money to Ukraine. That's why he put this statement in the tweet. Well, his staff, that's why his staff put this sentence in the tweet. And then his staff tweets, "It's in our own direct interests, not least because degrading Russia helps to deter China." What's missing from this tweet? Is "as long as it takes." You don't hear that sentence much anymore, do you? As long as it takes. They've kind of phased that one out. You hear it from EU leadership, but the U.S. leadership, they're not saying as long as it takes anymore. Biden didn't say it during his UN speech, and now you have McConnell not writing in this tweet, his staff not writing in this tweet, as long as it takes. So they've dropped that one. It's no longer as long as it takes. It's more about a long war. That's the new mantra, a long war. We got to make this into a long war. But in his tweets, McConnell doesn't talk about defeating Russia. He doesn't talk about regime changing Putin. He doesn't talk about the collapse of the Putin government or the collapse of Russia. He doesn't talk about any of that stuff. It's now about degrading Russia in order to deter China. Think about what McConnell is saying here. Degrade Russia in order to deter China. He's basically telling Ukraine, the people of Ukraine, the soldiers of Ukraine, fight Russia, get annihilated by Russia, so that you can help us, the United States, deter China. It's no longer about capturing Crimea. It's no longer about capturing Zaporozhye, Kherson, Donbass, Lugansk, pushing Russia back to 1991 borders. It's none of that stuff anymore. This is all about deterring China, degrading Russia, deterring China. So Ukraine, just fight for as long as you can so that you can degrade Russia as much as you can so that we can deter China. Nikki Haley, she pretty much said the same thing in an interview she gave, I believe it was with Fox News, but she gave an interview to the mainstream media a couple of days ago, and she pretty much said the same thing. It's in the U.S.'s best interests to give money and weapons to Ukraine, not so they can defeat Russia, but so that they can deter China. That's what they're trying to sell to the American people now. Give money to Ukraine, give weapons to Ukraine. Let's stretch this conflict out as much as possible so that we can degrade Russia, because it will help us for the future conflict with China. There are many senators and many House members who are now speaking out against more money to Ukraine, and they're becoming more vocal. They really are talking out about the grift that is Ukraine, and they're not holding back. Rand Paul, he was on Fox Business, and he said that he's not going to approve any money for Ukraine. He basically said the whole thing is one big grift. That's what Rand Paul said. We have Josh Hawley saying no more money to Ukraine. He actually said there's nothing to show for all the money that we've already given to Ukraine, the 100, 200, 300, 400 billion. No one even knows the amount. But Josh Hawley's like, no more. We've given them all this money, and we have nothing to show for it. Zero, zilch, nada. We have J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is on the front of the crowd, saying that the funding has to stop. He's taking a lead position, and he's saying, no more money. Enough is enough. So you have J.D. Vance, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's tweeting pretty much every day now about how the money has to stop to Ukraine. The counteroffensive has been one big failure. The Ukraine government is corrupt. No more money to Ukraine. You have Byron Donalds. He's saying the same thing. I talked about what he said in my video yesterday. So you're getting a lot of U.S. politicians, members of the House, of the Senate. They're speaking out. They are speaking out about more funding for Ukraine. And McCarthy, I think McCarthy is picking up on that. Actually, he's definitely picking up on that. And the American people. I think the American people have had enough. Even American people that still buy into all the Russian propaganda, Putin bad, Russia bad, Putin evil, Putin dictator, even those American citizens are like, enough. We gave Elensky 100, 200 billion, no more. Politico, they put out an article with the title, Pentagon Exempts Ukraine Operations from Potential Government Shutdown. So the Biden White House, they announced that they have approved, I think it's 325 million in military assistance to Ukraine. And it's basically targeted at air defense systems and whatever ammunition they have, but really nothing of significance, nothing game-changing. It's almost like they're trying to just keep Ukraine on life support, prevent Russia from completely overrunning the Zelensky regime until we can figure things out. And that is what the Pentagon is doing here. They're saying even if the government shuts down, we'll continue to drip feed the Zelensky regime with whatever old weapons we have. Whatever we have in inventory, the old stuff that we can hand over, we'll hand it over. We got to keep Ukraine alive, on life support until we figure this thing out, until we can figure out an off-ramp. And we already know that one of the proposals is coming out of Sullivan. Blinken is now on, it appears that Blinken is now on Sullivan's side. They're talking about trying to get Elensky to approach Russia for negotiations and a freeze to the conflict. Elensky is resisting. And then you have more hardcore neocons, the Newlands and the Lindsey Grahams and McConnells, guys like this who are the Cheneys of the world. Guys like this who are saying, you know what, we really don't care about freezing the conflict or any of that stuff. We want to go to war with China in the next couple of years, and so we have a narrative shift. It's now all about degrading Russia so that we're in a better position when we come into conflict with China. So the Bild reporter, I'm going story to story in this update, by the way. I've got a lot of information to get out there today. But the Bild reporter, Julian Ropke, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's been embedded with the Ukraine military, with the Zelensky regime, for the better part of this conflict, actually. And he's been reporting on behalf of Germany's Bild as to what is going on in the conflict. And he put out a tweet yesterday, and this is what he said: no attack comes from the US, no tourists from Germany, no more tanks from Poland. And Putin just has to sit back and wait for the whole coalition to collapse. Yeah, that's pretty much right. I mean, this Julian guy, this is his way of trying to get the collective West to give ATACMS and Taurus and stuff like that to Elensky. That's the point of this tweet. But he's also admitting to the fact that the coalition is breaking apart. The solidarity of this Project Ukraine coalition is coming towards its end. And he understands that without the money and the weapons from the collective West, it's over. Even with the money and the weapons, it's over. Russia has defeated how many armies? Three armies already? This is their fourth Ukraine army that they're about to defeat. So, an interesting admission from the German Bild reporter. And then we have the BBC Ukraine service. And they have a story where they claim that their sources are telling them that Ukraine military officials are being investigated over the collapse of the southern defense in the early days of the conflict with Russia. Kiev's top general may become subject of a criminal probe. You know who they're talking about? They're talking about Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny, if he even exists. That's who they're talking about. And the BBC Ukraine is saying that the SBU is now going to investigate the top generals, including Zaluzhny, to try and understand why the counteroffensive in the south was such a disaster. In other words, to scapegoat him, to scapegoat Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny's great. I mean, he is great for the Elensky regime and for the collective West. You can blame Nord Stream on him. So he's great for blaming Nord Stream, which is what the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Financial Times, I always have to say that, right? Because, I want to make sure that people understand I'm not the one that is saying Zaluzhny blew up Nord Stream. These publications put out stories claiming that Zaluzhny was the mastermind behind the Nord Stream sabotage. Not coming from me, it's coming from the WSJ and the BBC and FT and the WAPO and NYT. They're the ones that said 4, 5, 6 months ago that Zaluzhny was the guy behind Nord Stream. So you can pin Nord Stream on him. You can pin the failed super duper big counteroffensive on Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny is great. I mean, he's perfect for the collective West and for the Elensky regime. And no one even knows if it's the real Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny never refutes these claims. He never rebuts these claims. Nope. Nord Stream, he didn't say one thing. He didn't come out with a statement and say, I categorically deny the claims being made by the Washington Post that I was the person that gave the order to the Gilligan's Island 6 people on a yacht to blow up Nord Stream. I did not give the order to Gilligan, the professor, Marianne, Ginger, and the professor's wife, or the millionaire and his wife. I didn't give the order. He never comes out with a statement like that. You don't hear anything from Zaluzhny. So why not blame the failure of the big super duper counteroffensive on Zaluzhny? Arrest him as well. For all I know, he doesn't even exist. Who knows? Get his body double, because it looks like Ukraine is very talented at creating body doubles or clones. Given Elensky's speech at the UN, get his body double and put him in prison. Put him in handcuffs. Show him in handcuffs. He's the one that's at fault for the failure of the big super duper counteroffensive. And now give me 24 billion. He mess up counteroffensive. McCarthy, give me 24 billion. I need to buy more homes. Zaluzhny, man. We all need a Zaluzhny in our lives, don't we? We can blame everything on Zaluzhny. That's the lesson for today's video. Find yourself a Zaluzhny. Find yourself a Zaluzhny. Honey, I'm sorry I'm late. It's Zaluzhny's fault. Oh, boy. All right. Let's, how are we doing on time here? Okay. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about Rumble and Russell Brand, and we'll wrap this video up with a couple of clown words. So good on Rumble. Good on Rumble. They got a letter from the UK government. Basically, the UK government was telling them to deplatform Russell Brand, and Rumble told them to buzz off. That's it. The UK government sent letters out to big tech companies, and they were basically telling the big tech companies to cancel, demonetize Russell Brand. The UK government. And in the letter, the UK government actually says that these are just allegations. Based on allegations, whether what happened did happen or didn't happen, I don't know. You don't know. No one knows. The police, they have to open up an investigation if they want to. I imagine that's how it goes. But whatever happened, the UK government was telling big tech companies to cancel Russell Brand. That is a pretty incredible development with this story. And YouTube, they demonetized Russell Brand. I don't know what TikTok did, but Rumble told the UK government that doesn't gel with our values of free speech, and whatever allegations are being levied at Russell Brand, it has nothing to do with our platform and, as a content creator, what he's putting out on our platform, because these are still allegations. That's what we have at this moment, allegations. And so for the UK government, for our government to try and cancel someone based on allegations, whatever those allegations may be, that is terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying. If they can go after Russell Brand like this, over allegations, then we're screwed. All of us are screwed. And from what I understand, the person that was signing off on these letters, she's a Tory official. She's a Tory member of the government. In other words, she's a conservative. Oh boy. Good on Rumble. Good on Rumble. And I said in my video a couple of days ago, when I talked about the Russell Brand incident, that it's going to be interesting to see what Twitter and what Rumble do, given the YouTube demonetization over allegations. Over allegations, they demonetized him. And it's not about Russell Brand, it's about his staff, his team. I mean, he's got a lot of money, but what about his team? What about the people that work for him? Anyway, I said in that video, which I did up there, somewhere up there in that direction. Up in that direction, I said in that video that it's going to be interesting to see Rumble and Twitter's reaction. And now we have Rumble's reaction. And Rumble has proven that they are indeed a free speech platform. Now, if they conduct an investigation, and if the investigation shows that what Russell did, or what these women claim he actually did, I think that's a whole different story. But for right now, for the government to send out a letter calling on big tech to cancel this content creator based on allegations, that's pretty terrifying. Anyway, let's do a couple of clown worlds. Okay, so there's I don't think this is true. I'm going to put an image on the screen right now. I don't think this is true. But we all know about what Polish President Duda said about weapons to Ukraine, the drowning man of Europe. Ukraine, we know about his statement at the UN. And there's an image floating around the interwebs which claims that the Polish president has now been placed on the Mirotvorets kill list, the peacemaker site. Now, I think this is a joke. I don't think this is real, but who knows? This could be real. I haven't had time to double check this, but maybe they did place Duda on the Mirotvorets, which would be interesting because from the Mirotvorets site, it lists as its address, as its 3 locations, Ukraine, Langley, and Warsaw. So if they really did place Duda on the Mirotvorets list, how exactly does that work? Placing the Polish president on the Peacemaker, as it's called, the Peacemaker site, which allegedly has as one of its locations Warsaw. I don't know how that works anyway. And finally, our final clown world. And I feel this whole video has kind of been a clown world video. But our final clown world is this display, this digital display in New York, as Elensky was in New York. And this digital display was meant to welcome Elensky to the Big Apple. And it was supposed to say, "Glory Ukraine." But something happened. Glory to Ukraine, but something happened, and the display ended up saying, "Glory to urine." Glory to urine. And the people that manage this digital display, they said that something with the technology and the background colors and the computer system, it had to, in order for the text to show properly on the display, it had to cut out one letter, and it ended up going with the K. not the E at the end. Nope. Not the N. Nope. It actually the computer decided to cut out the K, making the statement read, "Glory to urine." I think that pretty much sums up Elensky's trip to the United States. I think it sums it up. And now I hear he's off to Canada to meet with Trudeau. That's what I hear. Well, Chrystia Freeland, of course, and then Trudeau. So that's going to be an interesting story to report on. All right, everybody. That is the video, theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X, the X platform. And go to the Duran shop. Use the code GOODDAY. Get 10% off all merch. Take care.